let's get into this. Iron Man was wrong in Captain America Civil War. That's cap, okay? There's nothing in this video that's going to make me believe otherwise.
One thing I like about Captain America Civil War is that there are really strong arguments for both sides. Even if you prefer one side over the other, you can see where Tony and Steve are coming from with their stances on the Sokovia Accords. It's easier to side with Captain America in the Civil War comic due to one of the requirements of the Superhero Registration Act being that any US citizen with superhuman abilities must register with the federal government, including them having to publicly reveal their secret identities. The biggest example of this was when Spider-Man revealed himself to be Peter Parker to the public when he initially joined Team Iron Man. I know J. Jonah Jameson was tweaking when he first saw Peter under that mask. Civil War to this day is honestly one of my favorite MCU movies. I remember being way too excited for this movie's release in theaters. The marketing went crazy. Team Cap or Team Iron Man was the craziest debate for a brief period. I know many people would take the side of Iron Man as he had the unfair advantage in having beloved characters like Black Panther and freaking Spider-Man, which was their first introductions to the MCU. True. You should have seen me when they first revealed Spider-Man in that trailer. I was geeking out.
All right, I've run out of patience. On to ruse!
When it comes to the Sokovia Accords and the general plot of the film, there's only one side that's the correct answer, and any other answer is just simply incorrect. The definitive side, of course, would be the side of my glorious Steve Rogers, aka Captain America.
Oh, he's a Captain America fan! Okay, it makes sense. It makes sense now.
The first Avenger, the GOAT Avenger.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
You know, the guy that stands up for what's right despite what the government tries to impose on others. The same dude who held Mjolnir during the third act of Endgame, delivering an all-timer of a line with the Avengers by his side. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with him. Actually, Team Iron Man was morally correct throughout the entirety of Civil War.
Incorrect.
Let's see.
Now, I'm not
what the argument is.
Tony Stark here. He is one of the best characters in this universe, and the first Iron Man spearheaded an entire cinematic universe. However, in Civil War, one side has Iron Man and the other has the greatest Avenger in the MCU. Sorry, not sorry, I don't make the rules. You don't believe me or think I'm spewing nonsense? Go ask Deadpool. A big reason as to why I think Cap is on the right side is not just because I like glazing him or anything, even though all the glaze is justified. It has to do with how the Avengers being controlled by the United Nations isn't necessarily the way to go with how easily corruptible these organizations can be. Now, yes, Tony brings up a good point with the destruction they've caused, very noteworthy coming from the guy who created Ultron. A woman also confronted Tony in the beginning of the film about how her son was in Sokovia but died due to the Avengers Ultron battle. Hell, the main villain of Civil War, Helmut Zemo, only wants to destroy the Avengers because his family died in Sokovia. But the government has shown its fair share of reasons as to why it can't be trusted.
Security Council, it's not S.H.I.E.L.D., it's not Hydra.
No, but it's run by people with agendas, and agendas change. If we sign this, we surrender our right to choose. What if there's somewhere we need to go, and they don't let us? We may not be perfect, but the safest hands are still our own.
Steve's stance on the whole situation is corroborated by many scenarios that have already happened or will happen in the MCU timeline, like S.H.I.E.L.D. being secretly overtaken by Hydra ever since the collapse of Hydra after World War II. It was secretly rebuilt inside S.H.I.E.L.D. since the 70s thanks to a Swiss scientist who used to...
You know what's crazy about what Steve Rogers is saying though? You're saying this after you got the superhuman serum that America made. Now you want to pick. If you was on the other side, you would probably pick different. But you got the benefit of what America was trying to do. Now you're like, I trust myself. You didn't trust yourself before you hopped in that chamber and got that injection. You was all, hey, America, what you need me to do? Jumped on a grenade in the movie. We seen it. Very rich coming from Captain America, man.
Under the Red Skull named Armin Zola. There were several members of Hydra outside of S.H.I.E.L.D. in modern times, holding various positions within the World Council and the US government. Like that one random guy from Iron Man 2, he turned out to be a part of Hydra. Alexander Pierce was an undercover operative in the US government who worked for Hydra, while simultaneously being at a high position of power in S.H.I.E.L.D. The Winter Soldier movie sheds light on Project Insight, a plan involving Hydra agents within S.H.I.E.L.D. using airborne helicarriers to eliminate anyone who could pose a threat to their plans.
Zola's algorithm is a program for choosing Insight's targets.
What targets?
You, Bruce Banner, Stephen Strange, anyone who's a threat to Hydra. Now or in the future.
Did y'all forget the fact that Nick Fury's superiors in the World City Council literally wanted to send a nuclear missile at Manhattan during the Battle of New York in the first Avengers film? Even Nick Fury saw the lunacy in that decision, was like,
I recognize
so
Council has made a decision. But given that it's a stupid-ass decision, I've elected to ignore it.
And if it wasn't for Iron Man taking the missile up into the wormhole toward the sanctuary, New York would have been blown to bits. I'm failing to see why it's a good idea for the Avengers to only go on missions under the supervision of these people. In the vein of government-controlled superheroes, look at what happened when the government had their own Captain America via John Walker and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier after Sam gave up the shield in the museum. He killed one of the Flag Smashers after his friend Lamar died in combat, but because he did it in a public way, he was viewed as irrational and out of control and was forced to step down as Captain America.
Sheesh.
On top of that, Bucky and Sam had to forcibly take the shield away from John Walker and double-teamed him. The same guy who briefed the Avengers on the Sokovia Accords, Thunderbolt Ross, allowed Emil Blonsky to turn to the Abomination and spend a lot of his time trying to capture and take down the Hulk. Who knows what crazy shenanigans he's going to involve himself in as Red Hulk in Brave New World. Funniest part about all of this is that there was a brief period in Civil War where Steve considered the possibility of signing the Accords, directly saying how it's not impossible for him to sign, there just needs to be safeguards or assurances that the rules established won't be misused. Him and Tony are discussing this in Berlin once the authorities caught up to Bucky and Steve, as Tony was trying to convince Steve to sign. But their conversation goes downhill once Steve finds out Tony had kept Wanda confined to the Avengers compound and ordered Vision to make sure she never leaves.
Wanda, what about Wanda? She's fine. She's confined to the compound currently. Vision's keeping her company.
Oh, God, Tony.
She's not a U.S. citizen, and they don't grant visas to weapons of mass destruction.
She's a kid.
Give me a break! I'm doing what has to be done to stave off something worse.
You keep telling yourself that.
The craziest part about all the drama between the Avengers and them essentially breaking up at the end is how the Sokovia...
Hold up, and didn't Captain America know about... I need you to look me in my eyes right now, okay? And you, if Captain America and Iron Man switch spots, okay, and Vision killed Peggy, what was her name? Peggy. That Captain America went back in time to be with her. If Vision came from the past and killed her, and there was no way for him to return to a timeline where he could be with her, you think he wouldn't be doing what Iron Man was doing? When Iron Man found out about what Winter Soldier, who was under the same type of control that Steve rendered himself to with America, that they used them to kill the Starks? Come on now, what are we talking about, bro?
What are we talking about? Lasting impact in the MCU. You see in Infinity War General Ross get dismissed by Rhodey and he's like, yeah, screw you, man. Or Captain America telling him to stay out of their way. Matt Murdock in the She-Hulk show went up against Jennifer Walters during a court case in which he briefly goes over the fact that the Accords are pretty much meaningless now.
Making suits exclusively for superheroes necessitates anonymity. May I remind you that the Sokovia Accords have been repealed.
You take a good look at Team Iron Man's roster.
You don't think Cap
half
would?
of them were with him for ulterior motives outside the Accords. T'Challa mainly wanted revenge against Bucky as he was framed for bombing the United Nations in Vienna, which ended up killing T'Challa's father T'Chaka in the process. Peter Parker wasn't really briefed by Tony on the intricacies of the Accords and why Captain America was running away in the first place. He literally pulls up to Aunt May and Peter's apartment and is like, say, bro, you trying to go to Germany?
I can't go to Germany.
Why?
I got homework.
I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that.
No, I'm being serious.
Look, kid, there's a lot going on here that you don't understand.
Stark says you'd say that.
Stark tell you anything else?
That you're wrong, you think you're right, makes you dangerous.
You got hard, kid. Where you from?
Queens?
Brooklyn.
Natasha prevented Black Panther from catching up with Steve and Bucky, and she allowed them to use a Quinjet to try and catch Zemo in Siberia. When he finally caught up to Steve and Bucky, T'Challa discovered that it was Zemo who bombed the UN while T'Challa was eavesdropping on their conversation. Then in the post-credit scene, T'Challa helped Steve sneak Bucky into Wakanda to help free him of his brainwashing. It's fascinating to see so many people misunderstand Steve's decisions throughout the course of the film, saying he only did it to protect his best friend who wasn't deserving of his protection. First off, Bucky had been wrongfully accused of bombing the UN, and Steve, Sam, and Bucky were captured and taken to a facility where they watched security camera footage of a psychiatrist sent by the United Nations to evaluate Bucky. Steve realized that Zemo wasn't the real psychiatrist that was sent, but in fact was the one who bombed the UN and framed Bucky. Ever since Black Widow released millions of data files about Hydra to the public at the end of the Winter Soldier, Zemo uncovered information about the Winter Soldier program. He then uncovered a book containing the code words necessary to control the Winter Soldier. Zemo did this so that he could uncover all the information he needed on the mission report relating to the deaths of Howard and Maria Stark, which he would use to rip the Avengers apart even more. However, they believed Zemo might be traveling to the Siberian Hydra base to use an army of Winter Soldiers for his own personal gain. So Steve assembles a team of his own in order for them to travel to Siberia and stop Zemo. Thunderbolt Ross ordered Tony to apprehend Bucky and Steve and assembled his own team to stop them in their tracks when they all crossed paths in the airport. So Cap wasn't just doing this for selfish reasons and became a fugitive. He was literally trying to stop Zemo. So they all have a big tussle at the airport, with Steve and Bucky being the only ones able to escape to Siberia. Tony found out Bucky was framed and Zemo being the true culprit. Then he followed them to Siberia.
If Cap's so empathetic, why did he not let Iron Man run his 1v1 versus Bucky? Because he let everybody. This is what I mean, bruh. When they were fighting at the airport, he let everybody fight. He ain't jumping. He fought his fight. He was mixing with Spider-Man. Who else he fight out there? Tony. He fought, but he let everybody else fight they fight. He let his side fight they fight with who they was going with. But when it came to Iron Man, and he had a legitimate gripe to fight, why he let him fight? Let Bucky and Iron Man get off what they need to get off.
Thanks to Sam telling Tony about it.
That's what I mean, man.
And even went up to Steve being like, yo, let's call a truce. I was wrong. Unbeknownst to Steve.
You said Iron Man tried to kill Bucky when he should have been hunting Hydra remnants? Because Bucky killed his parents, bruh. Alright.
Tony and Bucky, all three of them being together, was all part of Zemo's plan, so that Tony could see the recording of both his parents being murdered by the Winter Soldier. This sequence of events is where I see a lot of debates, either in favor or against Captain America. Yes, Tony's reaction was justified, as he just saw his parents get murdered right in front of him in a recording, and the man who performed those actions is standing right next to him. But it absolutely baffles my mind when people go, man, Captain America's a punk. I can't believe him and Bucky jumped an orphan when he just saw his parents get killed.
Hey,
Either
they cooking.
Different movies, or some of you lack media literacy skills. Bucky was brainwashed by
It doesn't matter. He did it.
Hydra. He had absolutely no control of his actions. You think he willingly killed?
So hold on, no. When we find out Thanos was a deviant, walk with me, okay? Walk with me. When we find out, I know a lot of y'all don't like Eternals, but when you watch Eternals, you'll realize the sense whatever the people up there. All right, they sent these people down here, or they put the little thing in the planet, right? Eats the people. Boom, another universe is born. Y'all remember that, right? And in that movie, they had that one being, right, that was in a cave that transformed to the wolf, then it transformed to the person. And that was like, I forgot. I got to watch the movie again. But when you find out Thanos was one of those, but broke away from the cycle, you think Captain America's still going to let Thanos live after that? No, he's not. Oh.
Tony's parents, and then
it don't matter that he didn't know what he did it. All right. And if you want me to believe that Captain America would have let Thanos live once he knew everything that happened, you're lying. That's why Thanos told Iron Man, he said, you're cursed with the same thing I am, the knowledge, okay, that people are always going to eventually pick what side they feel like they're on. But Captain America thinks like, there's a good side. There is no good side, okay? That's what Tony knows. There is no good side. There's only your side. But Captain America want to play but we're the good guys. But we're the good. No, you're not. To the bad guys, you're the bad guy. What are we talking about?
Enjoyed it or something? There are moments when he doesn't even remember his own actions when the Winter Soldier.
But Thanos was only trying to break free. Thanos wasn't trying to murder people. Thanos was trying to make it as even as possible for people to not face the death that was coming. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to get the Infinity Gauntlet, and I'm going to make sure the beings that are eating us can't eat the people on the planet, but I'm also not gonna kill the people. It's gonna be random. Everything's gonna be random enough to chance. Like I said, there is no good side. There's no bad side. There's only your side. And Thanos tried to make it fair. But you see how people can't grapple with, yo, Thanos ain't the bad guy, but then want to say Captain America the good guy.
Persona is activated with the right code.
Romance Rose. What did he need? If Thanos' job was murdering people, what he need the gauntlet for? He could have just killed half the universe. Who was gonna stop him? What do we? Come on.
What did I do?
Enough.
Everything Hydra put inside me is still there. All you had to do was say the goddamn words.
It wasn't like Steve and Bucky ganged up on Tony on some demon timing. Yeah, Bucky killed your parents, so you gotta catch this fade, little bro. They didn't even want to fight Tony initially. Bucky was trying to run away because Tony wanted to kill him on the spot with zero hesitation. Tony was the aggressor here. Bucky was out here running for his life, and Steve was trying to stop Tony in killing him.
Hold up. No. I'm glad you said so. Murder isn't murder if it's random. So murder ain't murder if you were hypnotized, you still murdered the person. If you was drunk, do you say, oh, I mean, well, you're not drunk again, just don't drink again because you're not that person that you are when you're drunk. So, no, you would not say that. Bucky, you killed my parents, buddy. You must suffer the consequence of what you did.
Best friend, but they knew he wasn't gonna stop, so they did what they needed to do and fought him.
Get out of here! It wasn't him, Tony. Hydra had control of his mind. Move! It wasn't him!
He's not gonna stop. Go.
You said Thanos had free will, Bucky did not. Free will is relative. Thanos felt like he had to do that. You have to do this. So whether somebody makes you feel like you have to do it through the hypnotization, or what your belief is because of what you know, cursed with the knowledge, both actions are the same.
This isn't gonna change what happened.
I don't care. He killed my mom.
Get him up, let him get up, let him get up, let him get up. Fight back, nigga. Fight back, nigga. Fight back.
I will admit, Steve not telling Tony that Bucky killed his parents was pretty foul of him. That's something he should have not withheld, and he was wrong in that regard. But did you really expect Captain America to just sit by and let his best and oldest friend get murdered for—
You see, it's his side is not the right side, because the right side, you would have let Iron Man know, figured out some way to be diplomatic about the situation, make sure they're not in the same spot when it happens, right? Because you seen T'Challa trying to kill Bucky because of what he thought Bucky did, and you knew what Bucky actually did. Listen to what he just said.
Captain America, that's something he should have not withheld, and he was wrong in that regard. But did you really expect Captain America to just sit by and let his best and oldest friend get murdered?
Captain America didn't care about what was right. Once you got close enough to what actually happened, you didn't care about what was right. You cared about your side. You tried to play the, we're good guys. We're good guys. Anybody who do that, you get close enough and you'll realize they'll be willing to switch. But that's something Iron Man's not willing to do. Iron Man says it's my side and that side. Okay? You could be on my side or that side. But this is what's going to happen.
For something he had no control over. I think you can make a strong argument for Tony if he instead wanted to bring Bucky into the authorities for the death of his parents, but that's clearly not what he wanted to do. This man, Bucky Barnes, was forcefully brought into the Winter Soldier program after his supposed death and was brainwashed and tortured into doing Hydra's bidding. He feels guilty for all the killings he's committed, as seen in the Winter Soldier. They literally used electric shocks to wipe decades worth of his memories and turn him into the ultimate killing machine, constantly being frozen and unfrozen to perform assassinations. Bucky didn't kill Tony's parents, it was the Winter Soldier under Hydra's command. I shouldn't even have to explain the basic concepts of mind control and how it isn't Bucky's fault, but here we are. Again, I understand Tony acting out of anger, but Steve was completely in the right for defending his friend. If you disagree with that, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Go rewatch the movie. Man, I miss when the MCU used to consistently make bangers like this, back when we cared about the core cast of characters and felt like we, the audience, were on a years-long journey alongside some of our favorites.
Said later in the same film, Stark realized he was wrong. wrong.
Captain America had really strong, compelling arguments as to why they think the Accords needed to be enforced or rectified. But let's be honest with ourselves, Cap was always in the right. He was foul for not telling Tony about his parents, but other than that, my boy Steve did nothing wrong in my book.
That's a big butt there, buddy. Yo, the same way that you got your powers, other people use that same ideology to build Winter Soldier and kill Tony Stark's parents, and you didn't say nothing. But then you want to protect the thing that gave you the... You want to protect what gave you your powers. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? No.
Captain America and his household, both in the...
He said, look.
Rectified. Well, let's be arguments as to why they think the Accords needed to be enforced or rectified. But let's be honest with ourselves, Cap was always in the right. He was foul for not telling Tony...
He was, that means he wasn't always in the right. And I think if people will admit, like, yo, okay, he was wrong for that, that would be fine. But people act like Captain America, he's perfect, right? He did what he needed. That's not true. And that's the difference between Captain America and Tony Stark. Even you said it. Tony Stark said he was wrong after this. When did Captain America come out and be like, you know what? I messed up. That was wrong. When? Come on, man.
Tony about his parents, but other than that...
Hey, man, listen. All I'm going to say is 2 people can be wrong. That's fine. I think both people were a little bit valid in their actions. Nobody was 100%. I think that's a lot of people's problems when they look at conflict. They think one person got to be 100% right. The other person got to be 100% wrong. That's just not the way the world works. Because if you look at the situation a little bit deeper, you realize everybody has some wrongdoing. Captain America, you acting like, because you know what? Captain America, back before he got the serum, he would have been saying they need to sign those Sokovia Accords. But now you got the serum, you want to play the other side. That's why I say is Captain America fake good side is not real. It's his side and the other side. Because if he never got the serum, if they would have gave the serum to somebody else, I think in Captain America New World, Brave New World, right? There was somebody else they gave the serum to, which was the dude that was in a boxing gym with what is his name? Falcon. Well, his name Captain America, Captain Falcon, right? Captain Falcon. They gave it to him, right? Does he believe? Do you think? Do you believe that Steve Rogers would say the one from Brave New World? Do you think he would say, I don't think he should sign with this Sokovia Accords. I also don't think y'all should lock him up either because he got those powers. Captain America would say the opposite. But it's because it's him. That's how he chooses his side. Isaiah Bradley, thank you. Do you think he would say Isaiah Bradley should not abide by the Sokovia Accords? No, he would not say that. He would say he need to sign the Sokovia Accords. He needs to tell us his true identity. That's what he would say. Because it's not Captain America. So the thing he's fighting for in this movie, he only believe it if it's him. He don't believe it if it's somebody else. And if he never got the serum, he would be fighting for Captain America to sign the Accords. What are we? Oh, we're done here. We're done here. All right, we're done.
So when the metal hit his mug, he just sunk in place. 100K Holla, chillin' Bahamas. Come home to your crib and throw in your mama.